what is the channel gain for. It's important that this is not about the amplifier or speaker gain, which we saw earlier in the speaker setup, but this is according to the DTS or Dolby soundtrack. Usually you can leave this gain setting alone, but it might be that after Room Perfect, after everything is set right, you listen to some movies, you listen to some soundtracks, and you think, I prefer the center speaker to be a little bit louder. And then you can adjust this in the gain settings here. So if we look into the menu, we can click on channel gain and click on edit, and then you can basically edit every speaker that you have in the menu individually. But again, you have to listen first. So even though this is the next step in the lineup in the menu, it's a fine-tuning tool. So you have to listen first, to know what you want. And what you want might be that you want the center speaker louder, that you want the surrounds louder, that you want a bit more immersive sound from the ceiling speakers. That is what you can address here. But don't go crazy here. So this is stepping out of what Room Perfect has already aligned for you together with the room. So do fine adjustment steps. Do it in 0.5 decibel, listen again. Do it if you want in 1 decibel step and listen again if that's enough for you. Because again, you are overwriting Room Perfect a little bit, at least on this channel here. So again, it's a fine-tuning tool. And of course, keep in mind, if you put in plus 10 dB, you will not get more or higher volume level overall. It will just reduce your headroom. So of course, you will not make your amplifiers more powerful or make your loudspeakers more powerful or your subwoofer. It just costs you headroom. It will not give you more performance altogether. Okay. Further down the menu, there are audio settings, and here we received another question from Andrew. What do the dynamic range controls do in the audio processing, and what is the best setting? Well, dynamic range, or DRC, is another word for the infamous compression. So it compresses the dynamic range so that loud sequences are not as loud and quiet sequences are not as quiet anymore. Some people call it night mode. So then, apart from that, some people don't like the compression. That's why you can disable it. It might make sense in late night listening. So the dialogues are a bit more audible. And when there are, as I said, loud sequences, it's never too loud. And we have different settings for DTS and Dolby. For the purist, keep it off. But it can be useful, for example, late at night. In the same menu, and that's the final question for today. What does DTS remapping mean? This came from Gaurav. And this is part of the capable DTS remapping engine. And it's a kind of upmixing for soundtracks. For example, if it's a 5.1 soundtrack and you have rear speakers in 7.1 or 9.1, it will play or engage the rear speakers in 7.1, 9.1, even though you have 5.1 content. So it's a kind of upmixing. Now, after all these settings is done, it's very important that you save all these settings. So in the menu here, after you've gone through speaker setup, verify speakers, adjust subroom, perfect channel gain, and you've done the audio setup, it's a very good idea to go onto manage software and save a backup on the SD card or on USB stick, because whatever you set, if you do some changes later that don't work out well or you're not happy with the changes, you can always go back and load the backup from the point when everything was said and done. So that's a very good idea, and you can give the backup a name. You call it backup September or backup December, and then you will always find it, and then you can always go back to. And that backup also includes the Room Perfect measurement. So whatever you do after this, you can change a lot and always go back.